Now, another country following events in Washington very closely is China. And to discuss why, we can cross to Beijing now to speak with France 24's Charles Pellegrin. Charles, what exactly is the reaction to the siege of the US capital in China so far? Some, I gather, drawing parallels with the storming of Hong Kong's Legislative Council in 2019.
Yeah, quite interesting to see that the storming of the Capitol in D.C. has been the number one trending topic of conversation on Chinese social media, including Weibo, which is the Chinese equivalent to Twitter here, and a lot of the comments made by Chinese netizens. Those that draw these comparisons have been relayed on state media, like the Global Times, a nationalist tabloid, that's the state media newspaper here. And we just heard similar comparisons being made by Hua Chuning, who's the spokesperson for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs here in Beijing. And the main argument being made here is basically saying that the events of 2021 in D.C. Are similar to those that took place on July 1st, 2019 in Hong Kong, when pro-democracy protesters in Hong Kong stormed the Legislative Council, basically in opposition to Beijing's infringement of its autonomy. This movement, this pro-democracy movement in Hong Kong, had been widely supported by the American political class and also other politicians in liberal democracies. And what the point of view, this nationalistic point of view here in China that's being put out there is that what's happening today is kind of karma or retribution for what happened in 2019 in Hong Kong. The argument being made that the United States is now having a taste of the instability that it provoked in other countries, including in China, because the main sort of point of discourse here in China was that there were foreign black hands controlling the Hong Kong protest movement back in 2019. So all this is being used by state media in a way also to kind of justify the Chinese model of governance that tries to get rid of any such instability or instability or turbulent transition in power. So this is basically used as a way to prop up the Chinese model.
Meanwhile, the Chinese propaganda machine is also using the suspension of Donald Trump's Twitter account, also Facebook temporarily, to make an argument about free speech and censorship.
Absolutely. Yet again, this news, the developments happening in the United States, used as a way to justify the use of censorship on Chinese social media, but on any platform where there is public debate. Just as a reminder, Twitter and Facebook are banned in mainland China and have been for quite a while now, basically, when these two platforms refuse to comply to the demands by Beijing to be able to control some of the speech, some of the communications that are taking place on these platforms. But once again, Chinese, more of the nationalist types, Chinese netizens who are being highly represented in state media, pointing out what they perceive to be a hypocrisy or between people calling for Donald Trump to be suspended and now actually being suspended from these platforms because his speech is deemed dangerous, when many had criticized China for what they perceive to be the same thing, being what they qualify, erasing what they qualify as being dangerous speech. So really interesting conversations about freedom of expression here. And once again, all this is used as a way to justify China's way of doing things and its way of tackling public discourse, which is to not allow any room for dissent, which leads to not being able to see the same scenes you saw in D.C. in mainland China today.
Charles Pellegrin in Beijing, thank you very much.